Kardeşim rahat mı için o son uykunda? Bugüne kalma, bununla yetinme. Her nefes bir bedel, ah, yanar ciğerde. Matemim duy omzum ver, zeytin dalımın boynu bükük. Kardeşim gel sabrını al, acımdan büyük. Matemim duy omzum ver, zeytin dalımın boynu bükük. Kardeşim gel sabrını al, acımdan büyük. Godaran zangut, hayrat oglan, ana batarca, şöke Adana, kıraklı soran, evan hiç talan, rupenyan sudan, aharen veren. Kıraklı soran, evan hiç talan, rupenyan sudan, aharen veren.
Good evening to all our viewers from Istanbul. I am Tuğrul Tilek. This year, as each year, we are gathered with you on Hrant Dink's birthday, September 15th. Welcome all to the 14th International Hrant Dink Award ceremony. Pariyegar, Hüner Hatim, Ahlan ve Sahlan. Today, we are meeting with you at the 23.5 Hrant Dink Site of Memory, which has hosted our ceremony for the last 2 years. Melike Şahin, Elif Dikeç, and Fotini Kokkala sang to us an elegy from Hrant Dink's office, where the work of the artist Sarkis, titled Salt and Light, is located. Thank you for this impressive elegy. Tonight, we will all celebrate the endeavors of people working for justice, human rights, peace and equality around the world, and Hrant Dink's life. On behalf of the Hrant Dink Foundation, I would like to give the floor to Ahmet İnsel to deliver a welcome message to our esteemed audience in different cities and countries.
Hrant Dink Vakfı'nın himayesinde düzenlenen Uluslararası Hrant Dink Ödülü törenine hoş geldiniz. 2020'de koronavirüs pandemisi nedeniyle önceden kayıt altına alarak sanal ortamda ilk kez düzenlediğimiz ödül törenini bu yıl 3. kez gene sanal ortamda sunuyoruz. Uluslararası Hrant Dink Ödülü 14 yıl önce Hrant'ın katledilmesinden 2 yıl sonra onun doğum günü olan 15 Eylül'de düzenlenmeye başlandı. O günden bu yana Türkiye'den ve Türkiye dışından 26 kişi, kurum veya girişime sevgili Erda Aksel tarafından tasarlanan ödül heykelciği verildi. Uluslararası Hrant Dink Ödülü her türlü ayrımcılıktan, ırkçılıktan, şiddetten arınmış, daha özgür ve daha adil bir dünya için çalışan, bu idealler uğruna bireysel risk alan, yerleşmiş tahakküm kalıplarını bozan, barışın ve şiddetsizliğin dilini kullanan kişi, kurum ve girişimlere veriliyor. Ödül komitesi, ödül jürisine sunmak üzere aday listelerini hazırlarken, insanlara bu amaçlarla mücadele etme yolunda ilham veren, umut veren, cesaret veren kişi, kurum ve girişimleri her yıl tarayarak saptamaya çalışıyor. Hrant Dink ödülünün varoluş amacı, bugün belki 14 yıl öncesine göre çok daha acil. Hem bulunduğumuz coğrafyada, hem dünyada yerel veya parçalı bölüklü savaşların aralıksız devam etmesinin yanında, küresel ölçekte bir çatışmanın tüm yıkıcı potansiyeliyle insanlığın ufkunda yakın bir tehlike olarak yeniden belirdiği bir döneme girdik. Bir yanda saldırgan bir milliyetçilik belası, hemen her yerde insan gruplarını, farklılıkları tehdit ve düşmanlık olarak görmeye kışkırtıyor. Otoriter güçler iktidarlarını pekiştiriyor veya iktidara gelmeye hazırlanıyorlar. Diğer yanda ise dünyanın dört bir köşesinde kadınlar ve erkekler eşitlik, özgürlük ve barış içinde birlikte yaşama ideali ışığında mücadele vermeye devam ediyorlar. Yer yer kazanıyor, yer yer kaybediyorlar. Kadın hareketlerinin eşitlik mücadeleleri ise her zaman yasalarda olmasa da gerçek yaşamda geri dönüşü olmayan kazanımlar elde ediyor. Dünyada sadece otoriter güçler yükselmiyor. Demokrasi için verilen mücadeleler birçok ülkede tahakkümcü, erkek egemen, açık veya örtük ırkçı, ayrımcı, muhafazakar, çevre tahakkümcü güçleri geriletebiliyor. Bugün çoğu ülkede olduğu gibi ülkemizde de eşitlik ve özgürlük hedefleri ışığında verilen demokrasi mücadelesi özgün anlamda en devrimci mücadeleyi oluşturuyor. Hrant Dink ödülleri ve ışıklar adı altında yaptığımız seçkilerle bu yönde çaba gösterenlere seslerinin duyulduğunu göstermenin yanında herkesi bu idealler uğruna mücadeleye teşvik etmeyi amaçlıyoruz. Bu gece burada ülkemizde bu demokrasi mücadelesinin güçlenmesine, toplumda daha fazla kök salmasına ve tahakkümcü irade ve güçlerin demokratik yöntemlerle etkisiz bırakılmalarına inancımızı sizlerle paylaşmak istiyorum. Aynı zamanda Türkiye dışında ve özellikle Türkiye'de demokrasi, barış, eşitlik ve özgürlük ideallerini, ortak değerlerimizi hayata geçirmek amacıyla yürüttükleri mücadeleler, gerçekleştirdikleri girişimler, verdikleri hakikat ve adalet mücadeleleri nedeniyle özgürlüklerini kaybeden Hrant Dink ödülü sahiplerini içtenlikle selamlıyorum. Hrant Dink ödülü töreninin büyük bir heyecan ve emekle ve en önemlisi yaratıcı bir titizlikle hazırlayan ödül komitesindeki arkadaşlarıma, törene diyarkân bir biçimde destek veren herkese Hrant Dink Vakfı adına bir kez daha teşekkür ederim. Uluslararası Hrant Dink ödülünü ihdas etme ilhamını bize veren kıymetli Hrant Dink'in anısı önünde saygıyla ve dostça eğiliyorum.
Koy benim yerime, kendini gelmeden üzerime. Bedelini ödedim ben de, sevdiğiniz her şeyin. Koy birini yerime, çalıyor eteklerim yine zil. Bedelini ödedim ben de, sustuğumuz her şeyin. Döndüm baktım içeri, olmuyor yok ki bunun kaçarı. Bulamadım ilacı sende, merhem elimdeymiş. Hak ediyorum her milimini gülüşün. Ayna elimde durur, yara izi içim üşütür. Yine düşsem, yine yenilsem, sil baştan. Ne mümkün yıkılmak, yine doğruldum bak. Hak ediyorum her milimini bu dik gülüşün. Ayna elimde durur, yara izi içim üşütür. Yine düşsem, yine yenilsem, sil baştan. Ne mümkün yıkılmak, yine doğruldum bak. Koy benim yerime, kendini gelmeden üzerime. Bedelini ödedim ben de, sevdiğiniz her şeyin. Koy birini yerime, çalıyor eteklerim yine zil. Bedelini ödedim ben de, sustumuz her şeyin. Döndüm baktım içeri, olmuyor yok ki bunun kaçarı. Bulamadım ilacı sende, merhem elimdeymiş. Koy benim yerime, kendini gelmeden üzerime. Bedelini ödedim ben de, sustumuz her şeyin.
Melike Şahin, Elif Dikeç, and Fotini Kokkala performed the song Bedelini Ödedim, which inspired many people and their struggles and added their voices to ours. With the International Hrant Dink Award, we would like to say you are not alone to those who work for a freer and fairer world, free from discrimination, racism and violence, who take risks for these ideals, who break the rules, who use the language of peace, and who give inspiration and hope to people to carry on struggling. Tonight, when we strengthen our solidarity by witnessing rights movements around the world, to deliver the opening speech, I leave the floor to Albie Sachs, well known for his struggle against apartheid, one of the architects of South Africa's new constitution, judge, and human rights activist.
Some people remember their first kiss. I remember the first time I went to jail. I also remember my first kiss, which wasn't bad. But going to jail, I was 17, a second-year law student, filled with ideals. My country, South Africa, racist, authoritarian, unjust, unfair. We had to do something about it. And if people didn't have rights, then jail would be there. And we used to read and read and read books from all over the world of people who'd been imprisoned. From Algeria, Henri Alleg, La Question. And our favorite book was Nazım Hikmet, Poems from Prison. So Turkey, the country, entered my imagination through the beautiful poetry of Nazım Hikmet. And it was not simply the fact that he was being unjustly treated, but the fact he never lost his humanity. He never lost his hope. He could be sad, he could be down, it could be hard for him. He asked not for grand parade, but for some people sitting under a tree somewhere to remember him. Very, very beautiful. And it was that sense of humanity that came from Turkey to South Africa that filled the heart of this young youth in Cape Town. And when I was invited to be connected with Hrant Dink institution, straight away I thought of Nazim Hikmet, and that was the Turkey that I was responding to. And that's why I admire the work of the organization so much, because it's got that purity of spirit, the idealism, the hope, not allowing the forces of hatred and division and separation to conquer our minds, to conquer our hearts, keeping our hearts intact and our spirit intact in the most difficult times. And I remember some of the poems of Nazim Hikmet. You probably say Nazim Hikmet, sentenced to, I think, an extra 28 years. He didn't serve the full sentence. The people mobilized. There was a response to him. There was support for him. That spirit, that heart of optimism and joy and hope and humanity triumphed over the spirit of oppression and selfishness and egotism and bullying the people instead of answering to the people. These award ceremonies, then, are not simply to single out individuals who've done something special and notable in respect of human rights. It's to keep alive that little flame that burns so brightly in the deepest darkness, the flame of resistance to injustice, of humanity, of fairness, of international solidarity, of people all over the world with similar beliefs joining hands, coming together and saying, our country can be better, our people can live better lives, the world can be better.
We greet our close neighbor Armenia, which has been going through a difficult period and was shaken by an explosion in August. We would like to thank the High Violin Quartet from Yerevan for their unique melodies. 23.5 Hrant Dink Site of Memory, where are here addressing you now, sheds light on Hrant Dink's life, the story of the Agos newspaper, and the process leading up to the murder and its aftermath, and offers an opportunity to look at the recent history of Turkey in the context of minority rights, human rights, and democratization. You can visit this site of memory where Hrant Dink is the narrator and listen to the life and struggles of Hrant Dink in his own voice. We invite our visitors who are not located in Istanbul to engage in the exhibition experience via the virtual tour you can access on the Hrant Dink Foundation website. In addition to visiting the 23.5 Hrant Dink Site of Memory and virtual exhibition, you can also attend physical and online workshops focusing on Armenian culture and sites of memory. In 2022, the world, struggling to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, has witnessed a new war. Social and economic injustices have deteriorated, poverty has deepened, gains in women's rights have sometimes been reversed and sometimes ignored. Hate speech and discrimination have continued, and the effects of the climate crisis have been observed in every region. Tonight, let us recognize and celebrate those who, despite all these difficulties and inequalities, do not remain silent in the face of rights violations and struggle for a more just and equal world. Every year, on September 15, we have the opportunity to recognize those around the world who have, through their actions, whom we call inspirations, shone a light on humanity. Every year, as the HrantDinkAward Committee, we honor people and organizations who raise hope for the future through their actions.
In Mexico, the number of murders by unknown perpetrators and recorded disappearances reportedly reached hundreds of thousands since the 1960s. Only in the last 2 years, this number exceeded 20,000. Thousands of women who attended the march organized on Mother's Day this year by the Mothers of the Disappeared movement called out their children's names. The mothers say they assume Mother's Day as the mourning day, and they will not give up their demand for their children to be found and justice to be served. The residents of Dağyeni village in the Germencik district of Aydın, Turkey, do not want gold to be mined with cyanide in the lands where they live. The villagers, who said drilling in their fig orchards and forests would damage their crops and pollute their drinking water, resisted and won. Construction machinery and equipment were removed and explorations ended.
Bizim dağımızı, taşımızı, toprağımızı dokunmasınlar.
The Taliban, who took power in Afghanistan, quickly initiated actions restricting women's rights and freedoms. Women, taking great risks, are organizing protests to reclaim their rights to education, work, political participation, and freedom to dress. Unable to find the support they expected from the international community, Afghan women are taking the streets with slogans, bread, work, freedom, political participation, and women's rights are human rights. The state of New York and the United States witnessed nail salon workers' protests asserting their rights. Workers struggle against inequalities in wages, health, and safety conditions, raising the issue that existing laws and regulations are not applied in nail salons, where mostly immigrants work. Due to the exorbitant increase in dormitory and house rents in Turkey, university students who cannot afford the places they would stay throughout their education started the We Can't Shelter movement. Students took the streets in many cities to voice their demands for rights, despite political repression and detention practices. In Brazil, nearly 200 different indigenous groups were represented this year at the Free Land Camp, which is held annually to save the culture and way of life of indigenous peoples. The participants of the 10-day camp raised their voices to create awareness about the environment, defend land rights, oppose the government bill that allows mining and oil exploration in their lands. In Poland, Polish grannies organize weekly demonstrations in the capital Warsaw, counteracting both the ruling Law and Justice parties and the society's repressive, anti-democratic and violent attitudes toward the LGBTQI+ community. Courageous grannies gather in the city square and defend the rights of their grandchildren with rainbow flags in their hands. In Turkey, the locals keeping watch against cutting of trees for coal extraction and expansion of mining sites in the Akbelen forest in Milas have been resisting for more than a year. Although more than 100 lawsuits were filed to cancel the regulation amendment that opens olive groves to mining, and despite the Council of State's decision on stay of execution, the company did not leave the area, hence the locals do not give up the tree watch to prevent the company from initiating a tree slaughter at the first opportunity. In the UK, secondary school teacher Zahra Bey started the movement No More Exclusions against exclusion and forced dropout of students from disadvantaged groups.
I want to teach the unteachables, the ones that have basically been relegated to...
Bey and her colleagues are working on teacher training and curriculum revision to ensure racial justice in education. In Turkey, motorcycle delivery workers of various online shopping companies stopped their engines to protest the low increase in their wages.
Sen diyor hakkını aramaya oraya gidiyorsan eğer diyor ben senin işte çalışmanı engelleyeceğim diyor.
Drawing attention to their difficult working conditions by saying, "We can't get by, we can't survive." The workers managed to establish the strong solidarity network in many cities to make their demands heard.
Hakkımızı alacağız.
In Turkey, upon the sentencing of Gezi Park defendants to imprisonment, environmental activists, architects, academics, politicians, artists, writers, international professional organizations, and numerous people and groups struggling for democracy, justice, and freedom rallied in various cities in support of We Defend Gezi movement. The support for the rights advocates who were remanded with political, not legal decisions, without concrete evidence, continued with vigils for justice.
Hiçbir hukuka aykırı işleri kabul etmeyeceğiz.
After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Russian government banned the use of the word war and has censored all news about anti-war protests. Anti-war demonstrations are suppressed with police violence. News media and many civil society organizations working in the field of human rights have been closed down and silenced. There were and continue to be many detentions, but people, including artists, teachers, journalists, and activists, have not given up employing creative means to say no to war. Mass protests started in the United States, where the 1973 law on right to abortion was put up for debate. After the Supreme Court overturned the law recognizing the right to abortion, some states repealed the related law, and one state banned abortion. Hundreds of thousands of women of all ages rallied to protest 40 million women being stripped away their right to abortion and subsequent shutting down of abortion clinics. With the slogan, "We will not go back," women demanded that abortion as an earned right is practiced in all states.
We send our warmest greetings in solidarity, the inspirations from different parts of the world who intensify our hope and encourage us with their actions.
O yar gelir yazıda yaban, gül olur yar yar gül olur, yar yar gül olur. Yüzün görsen tutulur dilim, lal olur yar yar lal olur, yar yar lal olur. Aşka düşen divane gezer, del olur yar yar del olur, yar yar del olur. Aşka düşen divane gezer, del olur yar yar del olur, yar yar del olur. Evlerine varada gele, usandım yar yar usandım, yar yar usandım. El kızını ben kendime yar sandım, yar yar yar sandım, yar yar yar sandım. Yüreğime hançerde soktu, gül sandım, yar yar gül sandım, yar yar gül sandım. Yüreğime hançerde soktu, gül sandım, yar yar gül sandım, yar yar gül sandım. mezarımı derinde kazın. Dar olsun yar yar dar olsun, yar yar dar olsun. Altı lale üstü de sümbül, bağ olsun yar yar bağ olsun, yar yar bağ olsun. Ben ölürsem sevdiceğim sağ olsun yar yar sağ olsun, yar yar sağ olsun. Ben ölürsem sevdiceğim sağ olsun yar yar sağ olsun, yar yar sağ olsun. Gönül gel seninle muhabbet edelim. Gönül gel seninle muhabbet edelim. Araya kimseyi alma sevdiğim, alma sevdiğim. Ya benim kimim var, kime yalvarayım? Kaldır gönlündeki karayı gönül. Ya benim kimim var, kime yalvarayım? Kaldır gönlündeki karayı gönül. Solmasa dünyada güzeller solmaz. Solmasa dünyada güzeller solmaz. Bu dünya fanidir, kimseye kalmaz, kimseye kalmaz. Yalan dolan ile sofuluk olmaz. Mümin olan bekler berayı gönül. Yalan dolan ile sofuluk olmaz. Mümin olan bekler berayı gönül. Derviş alim öğüt verir özüne. Derviş alim öğüt verir özüne. Gönül lütfeyledi, geldi sözüne, geldi sözüne. Azrail konarsa göğsün düzüne, o zaman getirmez insafı gönül. Azrail konarsa göğsün düzüne, o zaman getirmez sırayı gönül.
We would like to thank Barabar for their original interpretations of traditional songs and for performing the song O Yar Gelir, a favorite of HrantDink's. We have been celebrating struggles for rights around the world and building up solidarity for 14 years at the International Hrant Dink Award. The International Hrant Dink Award is presented to individuals, organizations or groups who inspire and give hope to people to continue their struggle, who work for a freer and fairer world, free from discrimination, racism and violence, who take personal risks for these ideals, who break the norm, and who use the language of peace. With this award, we aim to remind to all those who struggle for these ideals that their voices are heard, their works are visible, that they are not alone, as well as to encourage the entire humanity to struggle for their ideals. We would like to sincerely thank each and every one of the International Hrant Dink Award laureates for their work in many countries around the world and for not giving up on equality and justice. The individuals and organizations receiving the International Hrant Dink Award are determined by an international independent jury. We'd like to thank our jury members. The 2022 International Hrant Dink Award jury members are
the International Hrant Dink Award jury of 2022. 2021 International Hrant Dink Award laureate, women's rights defender, lawyer Canan Arın. 2021 International Hrant Dink Award laureate, investigative journalist Maria Ressa. Photographer, author, and human rights defender Shahidul Alam. Feminist and rights defender Ishtar Lakhani. Author and lawyer Burhan Sonmez. Jurist and academician Turgut Tarhanlı. Human rights defender and academician Nilgün Toker. Journalist, producer, and scriptwriter Nune Sarkisyan. Author and climate justice activist Terry Tempest Williams. Thespian and actor Serra Yılmaz. President of the Hrant Dink Foundation, Raquel Dink.
Is not a canvas you like to paint on it. You would tear it up when you're done with it. My emotions are your toy. You would throw it away. I never care to find. 'Cause I'm circling the sun. Feelings are gone, and I'm leaving it all behind, looking for the other side. I wouldn't want to hurt you, my friend, just simply go away. Yeah. You think you choose the right way, your dirty way is the way. I cannot take this. I can't take this no more, 'cause I'm circling in the sun. My feelings are gone, and I'ma leave it all behind, looking for the other side.
Many thanks to New Grey for their alternative interpretation of rock music. Every year, the award is presented to two people, groups, or organizations from Turkey and outside of Turkey. First, we will introduce the laureate from outside Turkey. And 2022 International Hrant Dink Award laureate is...
She was born in 1987 in the Jawzjan province of Afghanistan to a mixed Arab and Uzbek family. During the Taliban rule in Afghanistan between 1996 and 2001, she lived as a refugee in Pakistan. She obtained her bachelor's degree in anthropology from Smith College in the USA in 2009 and her master's degree in development studies from Oxford University in 2011. She was partner and chief operating officer with Kara Consulting, a firm owned and run by young Afghans in Kabul, which she co-founded in 2010. She worked as an analyst for the Free and Fair Elections Foundations and as a journalist for BBC Afghanistan. As the country director of the Open Society Foundation Afghanistan between 2014 and 2017, she carried out activities supporting civil society and the media in peace building, human rights, and promoting tolerance.
And don't let them legitimize or recognize Taliban and their oppression of women and their oppression of human rights. Thank you.
In 2017, she was selected by the World Economic Forum as Young Global Leader. Starting from 2017 until 2018, she worked as a senior advisor to the Afghan president on high development councils, and in this capacity, coordinated the prioritization of development projects and programs for high-level decision-making. Between 2018 and 2019, she worked as a senior advisor for UNESCO Afghanistan and acted as deputy on the National Security Council for Peace and Civilian Protection. And from 2019 until 2022, she acted as the chairperson of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, recently abolished by the Taliban. After the Taliban took power in August 2021, she had to leave the country just as the scores of nationals of Afghanistan. Her writing has appeared in the international and Afghan media, including Washington Post, Newsweek, Al Jazeera, and CNN, as well as in academic journals. She is currently an Academy Fellow in Human Rights at the Queen Elizabeth II Academy for Leadership in International Affairs, Chatham House in the United Kingdom, as well as working to launch a new human rights organization focused on Afghanistan.
Taliban don't let us to go to school. Why? Every Afghani girl has an opportunity, has an aim to do something for the development of our country. Allah has given us this opportunity. As men and women have equal rights, so who are these Taliban to take this opportunity and right from us?
In a country where the Taliban regime has caused rapid deterioration in the struggle for human rights, the right to political and civic participation, the right to education, health, and employment, the right to sexual and reproductive health, and anti-discrimination. For her relentless efforts to amplify the voices of women and children in Afghanistan who have been subjected to severe restrictions in exercising their right to education, freedom of expression, freedom of association and assembly, and their right to travel. For her resolve to put an end to gender discrimination rampant in her country. For her consistent dedication to mobilizing the international community through global solidarity among women, despite the grave women's rights crisis. Shaharzad Akbar.
آن سلسله موهایت اگر بر سر بازار شود از نفسش تازه چه گلزار آن سلسله موهایت اگر بر سر بازار شود از نفسش تازه چه گلزار.
Warm hellos and greetings. Let me first express my gratitude to the Hrant Dink Foundation and the esteemed judges for this immensely humbling recognition. Knowing about the foundation's amazing work, it was beyond my wildest imagination to be considered for this incredible award. I'm truly honored. This recognition carries special significance for me for several reasons. It comes at a time of deep and painful reflection about the events of last year in Afghanistan, leading to the closure of civic space and a full regression of women's human rights, amounting to a gender apartheid. At a difficult time like this, I want to utilize this platform to bring attention to the brave women of Afghanistan, fighting Taliban's oppression every day, inside and outside the country, particularly the women activists inside the country who exemplify incredible courage. They are the ones who truly deserve all recognition, admiration, and support. I'm also humbled to be recognized by a foundation in our broader region, going beyond the organizations based in the West. And through this connection, to have an opportunity to consolidate relationships with the inspiring human rights movement in Turkey. As an activist from Afghanistan, Hrant Dink's struggle carries deep resonance for me. Hrant Dink's journey and his commitment to building an inclusive movement for change is a reminder of the importance of long-term, thoughtful grassroots work that recognizes and honors diversity and differences and bridges the cracks. It carries inspiration for activists everywhere, but particularly in our context in Afghanistan, where we have suffered from conflict, fragmentation, and discrimination for decades and have to find ways to collective healing. Reading about Hrant Dink's work, I have also reflected on the constructive role for diaspora activists. In the past few months, I have been grappling with the dilemmas of working from exile. Working from outside Afghanistan, I must always be aware that I lack the full context and will not firsthand experience the impact of policies that I might advocate for. I must thus remain humble in the role I can play and follow the guidance of the activists and communities challenging Taliban brutality every day. It has been over a year since the military takeover of Kabul by the Taliban, and the situation seems hopeless. Women have lost their legal rights to education, freedom of movement, employment, and political participation. Every morning, it pains me that Afghan girls are kept away from secondary education for one more day. Another day of their life is spent in the mass imprisonment imposed by the Taliban. This injustice will have implications for generations to come. Afghan women have been challenging this oppression by marching on the streets and demanding work freedom despite Taliban's intimidation and violence. Beyond marching on the streets, women have been challenging the oppressive rules through running secret schools, book clubs, graffitiing their demands at night, and holding protests in their homes with videos later posted to social media. Taliban have responded to women's peaceful protests by implementing a brutal crackdown, harassing, illegally detaining, and torturing dissidents and their family members. Despite this, the women of Afghanistan are undeterred and continue the resistance. Afghan women in diaspora have also been fighting to support their sisters. We have spent the last year trying to mobilize solidarity from political leaders around the world to keep Afghanistan on the agenda and to maintain pressure on the Taliban. While the international response from the foreign political leaders has been shameful and insufficient, we'll continue to hold them to account. We are also calling on the global feminist movement and the human rights movement to stand in solidarity with the Afghan people, to not normalize Taliban's misogyny, to amplify the voices and demands of the Afghan women on the ground for bread, work, freedom, and the full range of their human rights. As we, the activists from Afghanistan, try to forge a new path after all the loss and in the midst of hurt and divisions, I'll be reminded of Hrant Dink's powerful words. Come, let us first understand each other. Come, let us first respect each other's pain. Come, let us first let one another live. May we find a way to keep the light on for each other. May we stand unbowed against injustice, as Hrant Dink did, and as the incredible women protesters across Afghanistan do. May we renew our commitment to solidarity and healing every day. Thank you.
Congratulations to Shaharzad Akbar. We celebrate Shaharzad Akbar with Gaye Akyol, Ali Güçlü Şimşek, and Görkem Karabudak, who have not remained silent on social injustices and kept us company during tonight's ceremony with their songs.
Ben yandım, dokunamazsın, çare yok. Yok bulamazsın, sen yandın, tutunamazsın, geç oğlum, ölüme doydun, haydi. Biz yandık, küle kul olduk, kavrulduk, ateşe doyduk. Taş kafasına takla din kâr etmiyor. duranım, endamı bana sökmüyor. Ben yandım, dokunamazsın, çare yok, yok bulamazsın. Sen yandın, tutunamazsın, geç oğlum, ölüme doydun. Haydi. Taş kafasına tatlı dil kâr etmiyor. Köşkü sefa dilememiz etmiyor. Abbas yolcudur anam, endamı işlemiyor. Abbas yolcudur anam, endamı bana sökmüyor. Senden bu kadar olmaz. Baktım olmuyormuş, zorlama ver. Koy ver gitsin, senden bu kadar ben. Taş kafasına tatlı dil kâr etmiyor. Köşkü sefa dilememiz etmiyor. Abbas yolcudur anam, endamı işlemiyor. Abbas yolcudur anam, endamı bana sökmüyor. Endamı işlemiyor. Endamı bana sökmüyor. Alem güzel de biz mi çirkiniz? Hayat deniz verdi de biz mi yüzmedik? Kimse silmedi gözümüzden yaş, gören olmadı bağrımızda taş. Nere vuralım elde akılsız baş. Yaş, yaş, gözümüzde yaş. Kimse silmedi gözümüzden yaş. Gören olmadı bağrımızda taş. Nere vuralım elde akılsız baş. Yaş, taş, baş. Memleket nargile kafe, dumanında boğulduk. Duvarda asılı saatmişiz, zamanı geldi bozulduk. Memleket nargile kafe, dumanında boğulduk. Duvarda asılı saatmişiz, zamanı geldi bozulduk. Kimse silmedi gözümüzden yaş, gören olmadı bağrımızda taş. Nere vuralım elde akılsız baş, yaş taş baş. Of, of, of.
Now it's time to announce the award laureate from Turkey. And 2022 International Hrant Dink Award laureate is...
In the aftermath of the military coup of 1980, in a common cause to prevent torture and to ensure the treatment and rehabilitation of individuals subjected to torture, it was founded in 1990 by the Human Rights Association along with 32 human rights defenders. Thanks to its meticulous work, experience, and know-how on documenting torture and treatment of torture survivors, it has almost become a school in its own right. Through its advocacy and reports seeking to activate the existing mechanisms for combating torture and to establish new mechanisms at local and international levels, it has become one of the key organizations worldwide spearheading the efforts in preventing torture, inspiring numerous human rights organizations and international bodies. It has played a pioneering role in the preparation of the Manual on the Effective Investigation and Documentation of Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, commonly known as the Istanbul Protocol, adopted in 1999. It has played a pivotal role in the design and implementation of training programs for the investigation, documentation, and prevention of torture cases against health and legal professionals in Turkey and across the world. In 2008, thanks to the contribution from the Association of Forensic Medicine Specialists and the Turkish Medical Association, it published the Torture Atlas, offering a medical documentation of torture cases. Through the centers it has established in Ankara, Diyarbakir, Istanbul, Izmir, Cizre, and Van, to this date it has provided treatment and rehabilitation services to over 20,000 individuals subjected to torture and ill treatment, contributing to physical, psychological, and social well-being of torture survivors and their relatives facing trauma. Since 2000, it has been actively working on coping with collective trauma in the light of the principles truth, justice, and reparation, conducting training programs, panels, and symposia on the topic in Turkey and abroad. Meanwhile, it continues to lead the efforts for the periodical review of the Istanbul Protocol. Despite the countless investigations and court cases it has faced since its very inception, for its relentless efforts always relying on scientific data and abiding by universal values while bearing witness to cases, for its invaluable contribution to the building of a world free from torture and ill treatment and to advancing of a democracy and protection of human rights, the Human Rights Foundation of Turkey.
Daha dün gibi 15 yılı aşkın bir zaman önce 18 Ocak 2007 Perşembe akşamı kimi ortak çalışma konularını da sohbet etmek için İstiklal Caddesi'ndeki o zamanki adı Hacı Baba olan lokantada o dönem vakfımızın başkanı sevgili Yavuz abi ve eşi Rezan abla, vakfımızın genel sekreteri sevgili Coşkun ve ben sevgili Hrant ile buluşmuş idik. Benim ve tabii ki vakıf ortamı açısından da son derece zenginleştirici ve bir o kadar da öğretici bir sohbet idi. Daha önceden planlanmış bu sohbetimizin sonunda özel olarak travma ve kimlik başlığında ortak bir çalışmayı başlatma kararı aldık. Konuyla ilgili hepimiz bir hazırlık yaptıktan sonra yeniden buluşmak üzere ayrıldık. Bir yanı ile son akşam yemeğinde olduğumuzu hiç akla getirmeden hepimiz ne kadar da büyük bir coşku ile ayrılmış idik. Ve sadece ertesi gün 19 Ocak 2007 Cuma günü saat 15 sularında ben henüz İstanbul'da iken o haber geldi. Söylene geldiği gibi öyle bir an yaşandı ki yaşanması yüzyıllar sürdü. Haber geldikten sadece birkaç dakika sonra sevgili Hrant'ın yanına ulaştığımızda ne kadar da geç kalmış olduğumuzu görmenin derin yıkımını halen yaşamaktayım. Evet, çok geç kalmış idik. Aynı gün Agos gazetesinde yayımlanan Ruh Halimin Güvercin Tedirginliği başlıklı yazısında hepimizin anlayabileceği berraklıkta yer verdiği çığlığının gereğini yerine getirememiş olmanın kendi adıma halen sürmekte olan derin acısını huzurunuzda açıklıkla paylaşmak isterim. Bırakın yaşamakta olduğumuz ülkeyi, tüm dünyayı insanca yaşanabilecek bir dünyaya dönüştürme iddiası ve çabasında olan bizler, tüm değerli çabalarımızın yanı sıra bu konuda da yetememiştik. Sevgili Hrant, Hrant'ın yakınları ve dostları, lütfen biliniz ki o buluşmamızda sözleştiğimiz travma ve kimlik başlığında çaba göstermek, yokluğunu hep hissettiğimiz sevgili Hrant'a sözümüzdür. Bu nedenledir ki Türkiye İnsan Hakları Vakfı olarak o günden bu yana sürmekte olan toplumsal travma ile baş etme başlığındaki programları her gün yeniden geliştirmeye çalışmaktayız. O unutulmaz sohbetimizin de bir sonucu olarak her biri biricik insan olan Ermeni halkının yaşadığı derin acılar dahil olmak üzere bir toplumsal travmalar ve tamamlanmayan, daha doğrusu tamamlanamayan yaslar ülkesi olan ülkemizde hakikatin ortaya çıkması, samimi bir yüzleşme ve içten bir özür dileme ve her düzeydeki onarım programlarının gereğini yerine getirmeye çalışan bir heyetiz. Bilmenizi isterim ki vakfımızın kuruluş nedeni kurucu başkanımız sevgili Yavuz abinin ifadesiyle ateş düştüğü yeri yakar ve biz ateşin düştüğü yerdeyiz olarak özetlenmiş idi. Ve bizler hala ateşin düştüğü yerdeyiz ve olmaya da devam edeceğiz. Bu nedenledir ki özel çalışma alanımız olan işkence ve diğer ağır ciddi insan hakları ihlallerinin son bulacağı bir ortamı yaratmak amacı ile çalışmalarımızı kuvvetlendiriyoruz. Ve öyle ki temel amacımız işkencesiz bir dünya hayalini gerçekleştirip bizim gibi kurumlara ihtiyacın olmadığı bir ortam oluşturmak ve kendi varlığımızı sonlandırmaktır. Bu vesileyle kötücüllerin tüm çırpınışlarına karşın hep birlikte her halükarda insanca yaşanacak bir Türkiye ve dünya yaratacağımızdan hiç kuşkumuzun olmadığını da içtenlikle paylaşmak isterim. Türkiye İnsan Hakları Vakfı olarak sevgili Hrant'ın ödülünü almanın olağanüstü karmaşık duygusunu yaşıyorum. Olağanüstü karmaşık duygusunu yaşıyorum çünkü bir yandan hiç kuşkusuz her açıdan son derece kıymetli bu ödüle layık görülmek büyük bir onurdur. Ama aynı zamanda sadece ve sadece insan olmanın, yanı sıra belli mesleklerin gereğini yerine getirme uğraşı içinde olmamızdan kaynaklı çalışmalarımızın bu ödüle layık görülmesinin mahcubiyetini yaşadığımı da açıklıkla itiraf etmeliyim. Dahası sevgili Hrant ve Hrant'ın yakınları, aslında bizlerin sizlere içtenlikli özür ve teşekkür borcumuz olduğuna inanıyorum. İçten özürlerimizi sunuyoruz çünkü yaşanan acıları ne yazık ki önleyemedik. Yanı sıra yaşanan acıların telafisini ve bir daha tekrarlanmamasını tüm çabalarımıza karşın bugüne kadar ne yazık ki sağlayamadık. Öte yandan tüm bu karanlık içinde hepimizi aydınlığa ulaştıracak o vakur ve bilge yol göstericiliğiniz için, her zaman umudu çoğaltmaya katkı sunduğunuz için ve tabii ki bu ödüle bizleri layık gördüğünüz için de sizlere içten teşekkürlerimizi sunmak isteriz. Ve son olarak bu ödülü ülkemizde ya da dünyada şu anda işkenceye maruz kalmakta olan isimlerini bildiğimiz ya da bilmediğimiz insanlar, bugüne kadar işkenceye maruz kalmış tüm insanlar, işkencenin önlenmesi için her türlü bedeli göze alıp çaba gösterenler ve tabii ki vakıf ortamındaki tüm dostlarımız için aldığımı ifade etmek isterim. Sevgili Hrant'a ve hepinize sonsuz teşekkürlerimizi sunuyoruz.
Our heartfelt congratulations to Human Rights Foundation of Turkey. We celebrate Human Rights Foundation of Turkey with an impressive cello performance by Artyom Manukyan from Yerevan. We would like to extend our sincere thanks to all the artists from Turkey and Armenia who have been with us performing songs in different styles and languages. We hope that the diversity and richness in melodies will inspire everyone. It's our tradition to end each year's International Hrant Dink Award ceremony with a video from the 2006 ceremony in Hamburg, in which Hrant Dink received the Henry Nannen Press Award.
O ülke karanlık bir ülke. Aydınlanıyor ve biz orayı aydınlatmak için çaba sarf ediyoruz.
Vielen Dank, Hrant Dink und Akyol. Das wäre schief gegangen.
The Hrant Dink Foundation would like to thank you all very much for being with us tonight. We hope that the sense of hope that accompanies tonight will give all of us strength and that the solidarity will enhance. Before saying goodbye to you, we would like to thank once again to beloved Arto Tunç Boyacıyan, whose support we have always felt with us in the 14th year of the award. Happy birthday, Hrant Dink. Thank you for showing us the path to living together in solidarity.
Ha